Hi everyone. We are recording this presentation. I think Orla has just started there. We'll be turning off the recording, however, for the question and answer session at the end. I suppose, if anybody has questions as we're going along, maybe write them into the chat. Otherwise, at the end, we'll have plenty of time for answering questions. So please feel free to turn on your cameras and unmute yourself and ask questions directly, or as I said, put them into the chat. So my name is Frances Judge, and together with my colleague Paul Leahy, we'd like to welcome you to our information webinar on taught postgraduate courses in sustainable energy that are currently open for applications in UCC. Sorry, my slide don't change. So today we're going to be talking about a range of courses. First up are our micro-credentials. So these are our short, kind of bite-sized courses that cover various topics. We'll also present to you the PG, so Postgraduate Certificate in Offshore Renewable Energy, the Diploma in Energy Innovation for Zero Carbon, and also our Master's Programme in Sustainable Energy. So of these courses, the micro-credentials, the certificate and the diploma, they're all either 90 or 100% funded by the Human Capital Initiative for eligible applicants. The Master's Programme, this is a standalone programme. So as a standalone programme, it isn't funded. However, there is a pathway through the HCI courses whereby you can do the Master's part-time and get partial funding. So we've included it, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. So I'm going to hand you over to Paul now to talk about who these courses are aimed for, and to go through the details of the micro-credentials and the certificate, and then I'll talk after that then about the diploma and the masters. Over to you, so Paul.
Thank you very much, Frances, and thank you all for joining the webinar today and for your interest in these courses. So first of all, probably the question that most of you have in mind is, are these courses suitable for me? Who are these courses for? So we designed these courses for anyone who wants to consider transitioning into a new career, or perhaps enhancing their existing career in the renewable energy sector. So as you know, the sector is growing fast. We've had 2 rounds now of Offshore Renewable Energy Support Scheme. These are the government schemes that basically issue contracts to developers and licenses to developers of offshore wind farms to develop offshore wind capacity. And these are huge schemes. The first one was on the right-hand side of your screen here, ORS1 2023, 3 gigawatts from 4 offshore wind projects. And these are absolutely huge projects. We're talking about hundreds of turbines that will be constructed in off the East Coast, mainly off the East Coast, and also one off the West Coast. Then a second round, ORS 2.1, 900 megawatts of further capacity off the South Coast. That is linked to the Designated Marine Area Plan. This is a government scheme that kind of marks out in red here the locations that are considered suitable for offshore wind development. So these schemes are rolling out. There are, of course, also onshore renewable energy support schemes as well, which are happening for wind and solar energy. So this is a sector that has a lot of activity, and it actually has a challenge to overcome, and that is obtaining skilled engineers and skilled professionals who can support this sector. So that's why we designed these courses. We're looking at people who perhaps are working in other sectors of engineering at the moment, but want to reskill into the renewable sector, or perhaps people who took a career break for various reasons and are, engineers, are working in similar technical roles and are now looking to rejoin the workplace and do that in the renewable sector. So what are the outcomes? Where do our graduates end up? There are lots of local, national and international opportunities for graduates of these programs, and all our energy engineering programs in UCC have had huge success in placing graduates in roles across local companies, multinational companies and startups, and across a variety of roles, so including project financing, solar and wind energy project developments, putting land banks together, and then doing the resource analysis, so studying how much wind energy is available or solar energy is available, leading the surveying, dealing with operations and management, and even dealing with the decommissioning of these plants when they reach decommissioning point at their end of life. And the typical employers in the sector, and these are employers who have employed our graduates in the past, include consulting engineering companies that do a lot of the preliminary work on behalf of the wind developers. So examples of these would be Feely Timony, GDG, Geosciences, and then the project developers themselves. So the likes of Ørsted, which is a very large international, multinational renewable energy company, headquartered in Denmark, but it has its Irish base in Cork. Statkraft, another very large international renewable energy player with its Irish and UK base in Cork as well. SSE, Scottish and Southern Electricity, ESB, these are all also involved in the wind energy business. EirGrid, which is the transmission system operator, which is developing the transmission lines to absorb the energy. And then other developers such as DP Energy, which is a local wind, solar, tidal energy developer, and also interested in energy storage. Gas Networks Ireland, Simply Blue Energy, Green Rebel, and GE Renewables. So there's a huge diversity of opportunities available here, and all these companies have been recruiting over the past couple of years. So we can move to the next slide, please, Francis. First of all, I'd like to talk about our micro-credentials in energy engineering. So first of all, what is a micro-credential? Francis mentioned it's a bite-sized chunk of a course. How big your bite is depends on how big your appetite is, and also on which course you pick. So it can be between 5 and 10 credits. And perhaps before I get into the actual microcredits themselves, you might ask, well, what is 5 credits? Well, we use this rule of thumb that 5 credits is approximately 125 hours of student effort. And that includes all your lectures, attending lectures, whether they're online or in person, any associated tutorials or labs, all the reading and learning that you have to do yourself, and then doing the work for the assessments. So roughly, now, your mileage may vary. It varies depending on the module, and it varies also very much with the individual student as well. But that gives you a kind of a rule of thumb. It's delivered, usually we deliver these 5 credit modules over 12 weeks, and 12 weeks is one semester of the college year. So the college year is split into 2 main semesters for teaching, which run from September to December, and then from the second semester from January to May. And again, if you think of 125 hours over 12 weeks, that means that you're going to be spending, maybe about 10 hours a week on a 5 credit module. So there's a considerable investment in time and a commitment needed to, see through these modules to the end. So the first one I'd like to talk about on your left-hand side of your screen is NE6206, which is offshore wind and ocean energy conversion. So for this, we combined 2 of our other micro-credentials on ocean energy and offshore wind energy, and we've put them together because they're very complementary in terms of the material they cover. So in semester 1, you cover some of the fundamentals in wave theory, how waves propagate or travel in the ocean, how waves interact with structures in the ocean, and also look at ocean energy conversion devices and tidal energy devices. So that takes place in the first semester. And then in the second semester, the focus shifts to offshore wind energy. So looking at all aspects from construction to the wind resource analysis, how much wind energy is available, the technology of wind turbines offshore, operations, and decommissioning. And that takes place in semester 2. And also we feature guest speakers from industry as part of this as part of the offshore wind energy component of NE 6206 as well. So next slide, please, Francis. We have other micro-credentials as well. So you may be interested in other areas of energy engineering. We have other micro-credentials. These are all 5 credits, and they cover topics such as wind energy, solar photovoltaic systems, energy innovation, looking at new developments in energy engineering, the likely technologies that are going to power the energy transition going out into the future. And then Clean Energy Futures, which is a really interesting course, which looks at where will our energy come from in the future, and not just electricity, but also transport and heat energy. I should mention that all these courses, whether they're micro-credentials or certificate or diploma, they're all pitched at master's level or final year undergraduate level. So we do require a level 8 engineering degree as the entry requirement, or we can accept an equivalent prior experience. This could be, for example, you may have a different technical background. Perhaps you studied something like mathematics or physics for your first degree, but you've been working in a technical role for several years. So there's a process with the application procedure that allows us to examine that prior experience and determine whether it's suitable for entry to our micro-credentials or not. If you want to learn more about any of these micro-credentials, you can go to the link on the right-hand side here. That will answer your questions such as what does the course cover in detail, who does the teaching, when will it be delivered, i.e. which semester, and how is it assessed. So you just type in the module code into the search engine at the link on the right-hand side of the screen. Next slide, please, Francis. So now I'd like to talk about the postgraduate certificate in offshore renewable energy. So I lead this program. This is a 1-year part-time program. It's master's level and it's 30 credits. So basically there are 6 5-credit modules. It's delivered online over 2 semesters. So it actually it's delivered online. The taught component is delivered over 2 semesters, and then there's a placement component, which I will come to in a while, which is delivered over the summer in what we call semester 3. So next slide, please, Francis. Just to give you a breakdown on these are the kind of important attributes of the course. It's 30 credits, as I mentioned already. So its full extent is 12 months part-time, including the placement. Typically, you're probably going to need about 13 to 25 hours per week commitment, and the physical in-person attendance requirement is 2 hours per fortnight. So all lectures are online, and assessments are carried out through our e-learning platform. But there are tutorials to support your learning, and these are a really important component of all these courses. So we need you need to attend these in person, and these are supported by teaching assistants where you can solve problems, address any perhaps any challenging areas of the course content in a supportive environment, 2 hours every fortnight. There is a placement component, which is 12 weeks work placement in the summer in semester 3. And the fees, as Francis mentioned, the nominal fee for these courses is €8,000. But the good news is that you will be covered to 90% or 100%, depending on your personal circumstances. So this really is a very attractive program in terms of the cost to you. Also, you can progress to one of the other programs, the diploma or the master's in the subsequent year. Next slide, please, Francis. This is a breakdown across the 2 semesters. So semester 1 in September to December, you cover the wind energy, you cover energy innovation, and you cover ocean energy. These are the same modules that appear in the list of micro-credentials that we discussed earlier. Then semester 2, the focus is on offshore wind energy, which progresses from the first wind energy module, and clean energy futures, exploring some future scenarios of the energy system. And then final 5 credits takes place in semester 3, which is work-based integrated learning on placement. And that is 12-week placement, which is then finalized and assessed in August. And you can get further details on the breakdown of this certificate at the link at the bottom of the screen here. Next slide, please, Francis. And the indicative timetables of this is just provided as an illustrative example. The exact details are subject to change, but it just shows the timetabled hours for the in-person lectures. And at this point, it's important that I should say that you can attend in person if you want, but it's not a requirement. So you're very welcome to attend the in-person classes that take place. But all the content of lectures is provided online for you to attend at whatever time suits you. So it's pre-recorded material. But the tutorials as well are, last year they were scheduled at this time. So we may have a change in schedule, and certainly there will be a change in the venues for next year. But it gives you an idea of the attendance required. You can look up any modules, timetables at the link at the bottom of this screen here. Okay, that's, I think, the end of the postgraduate certificate, and roll forward. Oh, placement. So placement is common to our certificate and diploma. So it's 12-week placement in a renewable energy role or in a research group in a university working on a project, a specific project or topic. It runs between June and August in what we call semester 3. The objectives of this are to translate some of the experience that you get in the taught part of the program in semester 1 and 2 into through hands-on experience and network and build your contacts in the industry, and then really develop any new technical and non-technical skills that will basically help you secure your first position in the energy sector, or perhaps if you're already working in the sector, to transition into a new and more interesting role. It's really a familiarization process that's allowing you to become familiar with the sector and speak the language that people speak in the sector. In terms of its assessment, we require that you keep a logbook of your learning. So this is not a very onerous task, but it just means regular journal entry of what you're learning and documenting the process. And then you use that at the end of the module to write a reflective report on how you incorporated what you learned in the course into what you had to do in the placement and your experience of the overall placement. And that's just assessed on a pass-fail basis. So it doesn't contribute to the actual mark in either the certificate or in the diploma. That's it from me. I'll hand over to Francis now for the postgraduate diploma.
Thanks, Paul. So I'm now going to talk about the Diploma in Energy Innovation for Zero Carbon. So I suppose this is the next kind of step up on the ladder in terms of commitment. It's a 60 credit module, so that is basically double the work of the certificate that Paul just spoke about. It's also done over 12 months and it is billed as a full-time course. Now, while it is technically full-time, it has been designed in such a way to allow people to work. I mean, the reality is that most people who do this program, they do either have a job or they have some kind of caring responsibilities as well. So we've tried to design the course to facilitate those people being able to do this course. So the time requirement is typically 30 to 45 hours or so per week. Like the certificate, lectures for most modules are recorded. You can attend in person if you wish, but most of them are recorded and will be available to you to view online in your own time. But we do require attendance on one afternoon per week. That is because per semester there is one in-person module. So those modules are delivered in a workshop type format. So you have to be there. And those lectures are scheduled back to back with in-person tutorials. So like Paul said, the tutorials are a really, really important part of these courses. So one afternoon per week, you will need to be in UCC, but the rest can be done in your own time. This course also incorporates 12-week work placement, so exactly the same as what Paul just described for the certificate. Again, you do need a level 8 engineering or another STEM degree. There is another pathway under our recognition for prior learning to get into this course, which I'll talk about in a little bit. The fees, again, over €8,000, but like for the previous course, the HCI covers either 90 or 100% of this fee, depending on your employment status. With this course as well, there is the option to progress to the Masters in the following year. So this is just what the course looked like. So in semester 1, you have 5 different 5-credit modules. One of these is the in-person one delivered in a workshop format. Again, in semester 2, you also have 5 credits. 1, 2, 3. I think you have 6 credits. Sorry, or 6 modules in semester 2. One of these is again an in-person module delivered in this workshop style format. And in semester 3, you have your 12-week work placement. So this is in June, July, and August. So again, like Paul said, we'd encourage you to go look at the details of all of these modules in the UCC book of modules. So either follow the link and put in the course code into the search box, or just Google UCC book of modules and you will find it. In that book of modules, as well as details on the courses, it'll also tell you how they're examined. So some are purely continuous assessment, and then some do have an end of year exam. So for semester 1, the exams are in December, and semester 2 exams are in May. So in terms of, getting time off work, you do, if there is a scheduled written exam, you have to do that in person. So you need to make sure that you can make those. This is an indicative timetable. So I suppose the way this is designed again is that the white boxes, these are the lectures that are recorded, so you can watch these in your own time. The timetable is designed so that if you can attend in person, we've tried to make it as efficient as possible. So lectures are scheduled over 3 days, and we've tried to group them together so that, to minimize, time hanging around UCC. The yellow boxes then is where attendance is required. So we have one module per semester where you must be on campus once a week, and tutorials are scheduled either side of this. This one here looks a little bit odd because this particular in-person module, it's actually an 8-week it's an 8-week module. Most of the modules are delivered over 12 weeks, but this one is over 8 weeks in 3-hour blocks. So what this basically shows here is that for the first 2 weeks of the semester, you will just have your tutorials, and then for the middle 8-week block, you'll have a shorter tutorial scheduled back to back with this module, and then for the final 2 weeks again of the semester, you're back to just your tutorials. Again, these timetables are indicative. I know, for instance, that the in-person component in semester 2, it's probably going to change days, so to either a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So we'll know that fairly soon. And just a note on the tutorials. So these are run by a program assistant. So this is typically a PhD student who's familiar with the subject area. And every week then the tutorial, it'll focus on one of the modules, and it'll involve either going through problem sets or structured discussions or helping students that are struggling in a particular area. They're really, really important because they're the one time of the week when all the students in your group are together. And this is essential for peer-to-peer learning, because peer-to-peer learning is one of the best ways of getting to grips with modules and with your assignments. And it also, it just makes the whole college experience much more enjoyable. So that's the diploma. So just to talk a little bit about the masters. So this is 90 credits. So again, there is a step up in work. So if you were to do the masters as a standalone program over 12 months, it is very much 12 months full time. It would be very, very difficult to do this while working. You do need to be in UCC pretty much every day. It includes a research project, which is done in semester 3. Again, you do need to have an engineering qualification, and there is no HCI support for the 12-month standalone masters. So these fees do apply. However, we've included it here because exemptions can be given. So if you were to do 1 or 2 microcredentials, or if you were to do the certificate in offshore renewable energy, you can get exemptions for a lot of the modules in the masters. So that kind of turns the masters then from a full-time course into something that you can do essentially part-time. And then furthermore, if you do the diploma in energy innovation, that's a 60 credit module. So you then can apply to do just the 30 credit research project only. So if you look at these side by side, then you can get a master's in sustainable energy by doing the diploma in energy innovation first. After that, the diploma, after you've finished, you then start into the master's, which just involves your research project, basically. So because you're doing that 30 credit research project over 12 months, you don't have to be on campus. You just have to check in with your supervisor on a regular basis. You can work away at home in your own time. And there is a fee associated with this, but it's €3,000 as opposed to, €8,000 for to get yourself a master's qualification. So just to briefly, this is what the masters look like. Again, you have 5 modules in semester 1, you have 5 modules in semester 2, and then you have a preliminary research project that covers the 2 semesters. This module here essentially prepares you for doing your actual dissertation then in semester 3. So this is kind of what the courses all look like together. They're all designed to be stackable. So while you can do any of them on their own as standalone programs, you can also use one to build up your qualifications. So for example, you know, if you do a micro-credential, now this graphic is slightly out of date because it just shows the 10 credit offshore wind and ocean energy micro-credential. But you could end up doing one taught module in semester 1, you could do one in one semester 2. The following year, you could progress, if you liked, to the certificate in offshore renewable energy or to the diploma in energy innovation. You could possibly then go on to either get your master's in semester 3 of that year 2, or in a 3rd year, you could go on to eventually get your master's. Again, if you do your diploma and spend 1 year getting 60 credits, you can then get the add-on 30 credits for your master's in the 2nd year. Or, of course, you can just do the whole lot in one go. So just to briefly talk about the entry requirements. So for all programs, it's pretty much the same entry requirements, and that is a 2nd class honours grade 2 or equivalent in a primary honours degree in any discipline of engineering. So that's basically a 2H2 in UCC language, or a degree in another STEM subject that basically has enough maths in it so that it's deemed equivalent to the engineering degrees. Or you could be eligible if you have a pass in any level 8 engineering degree followed by professional experience in a relevant area. Now, if none of these apply to you, don't lose hope. There is still a way to get into these courses, and that is under a recognition of prior learning. So it is often the case that an applicant might just not have the academic qualifications. However, they have been working in a very technical role for a number of years. So if that is you, then you can apply under this RPL scheme. And in that case, you need to show, as well as your whatever academic achievements you might have, you need to give us a very good idea of your work experience, as well as a personal statement. So if you want to apply under this route, just make sure that you do your best to convey to us your level of technical ability. If English isn't your first language, then you must provide evidence of English language proficiency. So there's a link here that you can follow to see exactly what it is we're looking for. So then how do you actually apply for any of these courses? So for the certificate in offshore renewable energy, for the diploma in energy innovation for zero carbon, and then also for the 10 credit micro-credential. So this is NE 6206. Then the applications are done via Springboard Plus. This is the link for Springboard, or just Google Springboard and you will find it. To look for the course you want, just hit this blue button and type in a search word or an institution, and you will be able to find what it is you're looking for. You need to set up an account, and then you will have to fill out the form and upload your transcripts, personal statement, an up-to-date CV, and then English language certification if relevant. If you want to apply for the master's or any of the 5 credit micro-credentials, then there's a different system, unfortunately. So that is UCC Apply. So that's what the sign-in page for UCC Apply looks like. You can find it either by Googling it or using this link here. Again, you will need to create an account and follow the instructions. And then same documentation really is required. So your transcripts, personal statement, a CV, and your English language certification. Now, just another little note about UCC Apply. It's a small bit more unwieldy, I guess. If you're applying for the Masters, when you go into UCC Apply, the first thing you will see is a list of different options. You are choosing number 1, which is a postgraduate application. You hit the blue button and then you are brought to a page that looks like this, with a lot of tabs where you have to fill in your information. And to actually pick the course you want to apply for, it's this program tab. you need to select postgraduate taught, master's taught, and then you navigate down through the big list of courses available to pick the sustainable energy masters, your anticipated entry term, and then full-time is the only option here. If you are applying for one of the microcreds, then you are going to navigate down to option 5 on that first menu. So this is microcredentials and continuing professional development application. You hit that, it looks very similar, except this tab here is called academic level. This is where you pick the microcredential that you want. So you select microcredentials and CPD in this academic level drop-down list. Then for course type, somewhat confusingly, you then select College of Science, Engineering and Food Science. Once you have that, then you will see the full list of micro-credentials that are available under the College of Science, Engineering and Food Science. You navigate to the one you want and then off you go in the same fashion, fill in all your details and upload your documents. So that's pretty much everything from me. I think maybe we'll stop the recording now and we're happy to take any questions either in the chat or if you want to switch on your camera or raise your hand or just unmute yourself and shout.